You probably know that one friend intimately. The one who texts, "I'm 5 minutes away," when she hasn't even put her shoes on yet. The one who consistently misses the opening credits of every movie, the first appetizer at dinner, and the crucial first agenda item of every meeting. The one who messages, "almost there," while she's arguably still deciding on lipstick. Yeah, that friend might not actually be disrespectful. She might not even be lazy. Surprisingly, psychology suggests her brain might literally experience time in a way that is fundamentally different from yours. Stay with me here, because what I'm about to explore will completely shift how you view the chronically late women in your life. And if you happen to be that woman, you are about to feel uncomfortably understood. This is going to hit very close to home. Here is what nobody tells you about lateness. Being chronically late is rarely about a lack of caring. In fact, research indicates that women who are perpetually late often care a little too much. They are profound optimists. They genuinely believe they can squeeze one more task, one more email, or one more quick thing into the 10 minutes they don't actually possess. She honestly thinks she can dry her hair, respond to 3 texts, locate her lost keys, and leave right on time. Her brain genuinely believes this mathematical impossibility is plausible. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as the planning fallacy. It is a fascinating cognitive bias where people consistently underestimate how long tasks will take, despite having been proven wrong hundreds of times before. Your late friend isn't ignoring the past evidence of her lateness. Her brain is literally filtering it out. Every single time she thinks, "This time will be different." And every single time, as we know, it is not. But here is where it gets truly fascinating, and I mean genuinely mind-blowing. A study from San Diego State University discovered that people perceive the passage of time differently based entirely on their personality type. Researchers asked participants to estimate when 1 minute had passed without looking at a clock. Type A personalities, the punctual ones, felt a minute pass in about 58 seconds. But Type B personalities, they felt a minute pass in a staggering 77 seconds. Think about the implications of that. If your brain genuinely experiences time 30% slower than the rest of the world, of course you are going to be late. You aren't being rude. You are essentially living in a different temporal reality. Your internal clock is literally running on a different time zone than everyone else's. And it gets even weirder. Brain imaging studies demonstrate that the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for time perception and executive planning, functions differently in chronically late people. They have what researchers call temporal myopia, which is essentially nearsightedness for time. They are incredibly present-focused, which sounds wonderful until you realize they literally cannot feel the future approaching. To her, 10 minutes from now feels like an abstract concept, not a rapidly approaching reality. Now, let's talk about what is really going on beneath the surface. And this is where it gets personal. For some women, being late is actually a subconscious form of control. When you make others wait, you subtly communicate that your time is the more valuable currency. This isn't always conscious behavior. Sometimes it is a power dynamic developed in childhood. A method of asserting independence in an environment where they felt overly controlled. Maybe she grew up with strict parents who micromanaged every minute of her day. Now, Being late is her quiet, consistent rebellion. But here is the twist that most people miss entirely. And this is the part that might make you emotional if you are the chronically late woman. Many chronically late women are actually severe people pleasers. They are late because they couldn't say no to the previous commitment. They stayed an extra 20 minutes helping a stressed coworker. They took another phone call. They couldn't leave their friend mid-conversation. They physically couldn't walk away when someone needed them. Their lateness isn't selfishness, it is misallocated generosity. They are giving too much time to whoever is currently in front of them and borrowing it from whoever is next on the schedule. She is late to you because she gave your time to someone else. Not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much about everyone. Here is something else that might blow your mind. And this explains so much about the behavior. Research suggests that chronic lateness might be linked to how your brain processes dopamine. Women who are always late often score higher in novelty-seeking behaviors. Their brains get bored easily. They constantly need stimulation. And here is the cruel irony. The rush of being late, the adrenaline of racing against the clock, the high-stakes drama of the last-minute dash. That actually feels good to them. Their brain is literally receiving a chemical reward for the behavior everyone else criticizes. She isn't trying to be late. Her brain is addicted to the chaos of almost being late. Studies also frequently link chronic lateness to ADHD, where time blindness is a well-documented symptom. It isn't that they don't value your time, it is that time itself feels like an abstract concept rather than a concrete reality. For them, 3 p.m. doesn't feel different from 3:15 until 3:15 actually arrives. Time doesn't feel real until it is happening right now. The future is just fog. But let's be honest about something important. And I need you to hear this without getting defensive. Not every woman who is late has a neurological excuse. Some women are late simply because they haven't faced real consequences. They have learned that the world waits for them. Meetings don't start without them. Friends sigh but accept it. Dinners get pushed back. Reservation times get moved. Plans get adjusted. The world bends around their lateness. When lateness works for them, why would they change? And for others, chronic lateness is actually a symptom of something deeper. Anxiety about the event itself. Perfectionism that makes them change outfits 3 times. Depression that makes getting out of bed feel like climbing Everest. Maybe she is late because she had a panic attack in the car. Maybe she is late because nothing in her closet felt right and she spiraled. Their lateness isn't about time management. It is about emotional management. The question isn't always, why can't she be on time? Sometimes it is, what is she avoiding by not being on time? What is she protecting herself from by showing up late? Now here is something that sounds contradictory. Women who are chronically late often possess traits that are actually advantageous. Studies show they tend to be more creative, more optimistic, and less stressed overall. Their relationship with time is healthier in some ways because they aren't obsessively watching the clock. They are more present in conversations. They don't rush through experiences just to get to the next thing. They live in the moment, sometimes a little too literally. When she is with you, she is fully with you. She just might arrive 20 minutes after she said she would. Research from Harvard found that people who are always late often report higher life satisfaction. They aren't anxious about the future because, in their perception, the future isn't coming quite as fast. Is it inconvenient for everyone else? Absolutely. But there is something quietly radical about a woman who refuses to let the clock run her life. She isn't ruled by time. She is ruled by experience. Here is the part everyone needs to hear. And this distinction matters. There is a difference between being occasionally late and being chronically late. There is a difference between traffic was bad and I fundamentally cannot perceive time correctly. If you are a woman who is always late, it is worth asking yourself, is this a neurological difference I need to work around, or is it a habit I have never been motivated to change? Are you late because time feels different to you, or because you secretly believe your time matters more? Are you late because your brain works differently, or because you haven't prioritized other people's time? One is a cognitive quirk. The other is something worth examining. One requires compassion. The other requires accountability. And if you are someone who is always waiting for a chronically late woman, understand this. Her lateness often has nothing to do with how much she values you. It is usually about how her brain processes the world. It is frustrating, yes, but it is rarely personal. When she is late, she isn't saying, "You don't matter." She is saying, "Time doesn't work for me the way it works for you." So what does this mean? If you are a woman who is chronically late, you aren't broken. You aren't rude. You might just be living in a slightly different time zone than everyone else. Your brain processes time differently, prioritizes the present moment, and genuinely believes you can do more than physics allows. You are an optimist in a world that runs on realism. And that optimism, while inconvenient, isn't entirely a bad thing. The next time someone asks, "Why are you always late?" remember, the answer is more complicated than, "I don't care." It might be wired into your DNA. It might be how your beautiful, chaotic brain was designed to work. The real question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to work with your brain, or keep fighting against it? If this video made you see yourself differently, you are going to want to watch why some women can never make decisions, and how their brain is actually processing choices completely differently than everyone else. Click it. The timing is perfect. Or, watch it 15 minutes from now. I'll understand.